Oh, now I have to look at the planet, but not. I saw somebody else around. Lunala. Lunala. Where are you?
Yeah, so it cuts us. Normally, there's a timer that obviously tells me that it's going to be going off, but it cuts us because I was obviously distracted with my son here.
I understand.
Cool. I think let's just give it a bit of a moment for a few people to join.
Yeah, so I think using the different devices just giving me so much more connection time.
Yeah, which is great.
I think
Except
the issue was I'm actually not connected to Wi-Fi on this device. I'm on using data, so I think maybe it was also the Wi-Fi connection.
okay.
Yeah.
The only disadvantage.
Your friend is saying hi. Say hi to the kids.
Yes, yes, these two are quite interesting little ones. So I left my son at my neighbor's house because he's good friends with my neighbor's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they've obviously decided that they want to be back here. So I've told them they must sit in the room and must not disrupt us. Cool stuff. So I think, yeah, I think I'm just. There's a bit of feedback though, like from my end, but I think it's just it comes with you changing the connection, which is fine. I mean, the key thing is that we can hear you clearly. So.
Yeah, I mean my other phone is off. I don't know why.
It's all right. We'll make do with what we've got. We've got to pick a struggle. Cool. So I think we can continue.
Wait. Let me look at 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Let me look at something. 2 seconds.
Cool. Hi everybody that's just connected. Mr. MZ has disconnected. I think he's just going to try and connect again because there was a bit of feedback with the new connection that he has. It wasn't breaking. The connection wasn't breaking like the first one, but the feedback was terrible. So let's hope when he comes back, it will be good. Life happens. As you saw, got my own disruptions here. Have you eaten?
I just need to do something.
No, don't put the volume up or anything. Okay, let me accept his request. He's joining again. Please stay in the room. Welcome back.
Sure.
Cool. So I think let's pick up on the conversation. Chaos, so many things happening. Do you remember where we were at? If you don't remember, it's fine. I have so many things to ask you. Many questions that have come through here, so don't remember.
Sure.
But I think actually no, I remember you were still speaking about like we were speaking about the small businesses and if people want to sort of get involved from that perspective, how that happens.
Yeah, so I mean, The 360, which I was highlighting, is one that we kickstarted the journey with the offering being one where small businesses could exhibit their product, right? And we were going for a semi exhibition market space while there are speakers. So there's a conversation element and there's a semi exhibition space. We got to realize sooner than later that our platform is not one where people come out to the edition to be buying products. And majority of the interchange between the business owner, the product sale, and any further business actually happens away from our own presence. And we liked that, right? We liked that we're able to introduce business owners to showcase their product, and there can be a further engagement there where business is involved. But we also got to realize that with charging businesses to exhibit their product and majority of those businesses expecting a sale, it doesn't work in our favor. We realize that we have to be one particular streamlined platform in what we're doing and not be multiple things. So the focus then became to say the conversation and the element of us being a progressive conversation platform is what we're going to reback and focus on, and just have that as the ultimate focus on what is it we're doing. So I suppose to answer your question, what we're looking for is for people who are in the corporate space who seek to engage the type of audience and community that we have, to be a part of the conversation. I mean, this is a grown audience over years, and this is an audience that has opted in to our platform. We don't have payments for influencers. We don't pay influencers to come. We don't pay celebrities to come. Those people who are in that space so happen to be part of our network because we come from the advertising and the marketing world. Majority of the growth of the platform has been extremely organic. And what you're getting in this space is a niche audience that is attentive, that is real, that is honest, and that is also very much entitled to where they belong in this world. And there's a big sense of growth and recognition and finding self with this audience. We seek people who want to be part of our platform and just join the conversation and sit in and listen to be a part of it. We also seek people who say, hey, I've got a particular expertise that I do. I've been giving talks. I've been interviewed on radio. I've written a book. I've launched a business. I have certain types of ideas, and I believe that what I can bring to the table in conversation can be valuable for your platform to be a part of this. Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, with that, these are obviously, I'm just thinking now about the additions, and we touched on technology earlier and how you've kind of had to move to online platforms. How do you engage this audience right now? How have you been engaging the audience though?
Through content sharing, through content seeding. We've got a mailer marketing mechanism that we do from time to time. And I suppose going back to my different points that I highlighted at a much earlier stage, we are also taking the time to say, how do we develop ourselves moving forward without having to plan that eventing proposition? I believe this Instagram Live is a form of engagement. We are going to be doing the 2.0 of the COVID-19 discussion, and we'll send those details. I think it's been a semi-break and going back to the whole element of redesigning what we are about for us, because the calendar year in general has been busy for us. We've traveled the country, we've done Durban, we've done Cape Town, we've done, frequently and throughout. And we still seek to grow and build our audience. But we're actually now growing from the back, and we're going to come back with some engagements which are going to show how much we've grown from the back.
Wow.
And we're going to launch some platforms that are far beyond our social platforms, which show that. There are some interests that are coming to us that are leading toward the media and the publishing side of things, which is all part of future planning. But we've got some people who seek to work with us and build our platform to a whole different dimension, who are saying, how do we develop what you've built to be bigger than the edition in itself? Yeah.
Sure. That sounds super exciting. I mean, it's like giving birth to this child and seeing this child just, amaze you, watching this child grow in front of your eyes and becoming phenomenal. That is.
So, I mean, the realization there is to say, when you own a platform, you don't really own it. You might be the founder and the people who have been behind it. The development of it and what it grows and becomes is then by other people who come in with a separate set of ideas and projections and partnerships and projects. We've seen that in the whole entire ecosystem of business globally. Anybody who's developed a platform sooner than later, because of just nature of something that grows in an ecosystem of society, it becomes something that you don't fully own. And you have to be willing and think ahead to say, okay, what is the next, without only your own idea and your own thinking, but other people to work with you on that. And that's where we are with development of this particular platform. Yeah.
So you're saying something there about that willingness and being, eager almost to allow it to evolve into whatever, allow it to morph. I like to use the word morphing. How do you, being one of the founders, I don't know what it's like, but you almost have to you have to let go and not hold on tightly and say, no, I'm insisting on this way because otherwise you don't grow. What does it take to be able to have that mindset to say, you know what? My baby, we started it this way, but it's going in this direction. And actually, it should be going in this direction. How, from a mindset perspective, what does it take?
I suppose it's two things. One, the personal one is the syndrome. You have to rework the syndrome of founder behavior and understand the syndrome of founder behavior. Syndrome of founder behavior is, I own it, and therefore anybody else cannot necessarily be a part of it because I own it. And there's multiple layers around the syndrome element, right? The secondary one, away from personal, is more functional. Every business has a need state. And once you know and you understand what your need state is, then you know that the growth of the business and the platform is not only going to come from your own ecosystem that you're working through. So how do you build toward that need state? By requiring resources that you do not have. If it's capital, if it's a partnership, if it's an investment, if it's a form and a means of expanding into foreign networks that you don't have a control of, then you think about the need state of your own platform and you say, okay, this is where we need to go as a grooming social. Therefore, there is a need for us to bring in other players. And we are open to that because strategically thinking and direction thinking, that's what we need. I suppose all that I'm speaking to starts with an element of realization, and that's growth. That.
Okay. Our signal is tripping again. There we go. Yeah, I can hear you. You can go for it.
Yeah. I think, not sure if you had the last part. I think I covered quite a bit on the question.
Yeah, you did. And I actually wanted to ask now, with you speak about strategic planning, strategic thinking, and growth that it comes with, and having that self-awareness. Is there a platform globally or otherwise that you sort of envision, we can almost say you look up to the grooming social to be like?
Monaco.
Oh,
Man, look, I've been following those guys. They are so amazing. And you know, the whole thing with a platform like that is you try and figure out what's the beginning and what's the end. Because I believe that it's one of two things. It's either a platform exists independently, or a platform is part of a particular type of entity or network. And businesses like Monocle, I mean, I know the founder story, and I know the person who's behind kickstarting the business. But I think what is so different to the economy that we're in is that a business like Monocle exists in an economy where the players who fuel, partner, and invest and build platforms have so much more capital to do that. It's just really a capital dynamic. Like, majority of those businesses have such a high, healthy balance sheet that their marketing activity is probably spread out in in 8 different ways. Where in South Africa we still have a traditional approach of a business does activation, it does above the line, it does below the line, and it does digital. And that's the end of the year, right? Basically, with a budget of, say, just a little bit under 5 million, right? Some of the biggest businesses are working off that type of budget. And then there's different players in the space which are looking to partner with those brands and businesses. But because of the nature of the capital investment, and these are things that business owners need to understand, you just can't get to that because there's not enough of it. Like, their leading suppliers that the business invests in have a big chunk of that capital. So Monaco sits in HQ London. They have a satellite office in Zurich, and they have a couple of sub-segment vertical offerings that are within the Asian market, right? But man, that type of ecosystem and economy is
yeah, we lost you at, you were saying that type of ecosystem.
yeah, sorry about that. So that type of economy investment and that type of ecosystem is what I dream of on both parts. One, as a platform owner, as to how big can our platform develop. But two, the growth of our own local economy, and where our corporates are needs to get to a point where small business owners are getting a big chunk of investment, by nature of how healthy are the budgets of the key players, but also the innovation and the R&D, the future forecasting, and the innovation element of business is also one that's going to make a change for platform owners, because the more corporates have a higher percentage in focus on marketing around innovation, future forecasting, then the more they're going to play around with businesses that are non-traditional and invest more in that. But you just need to have the bucks to play around. You know what I mean? Coca-Cola has in closing, Coca-Cola has a 70-20-10 strategy, right? Which is a traditional strategy, not necessarily what Coca-Cola are doing right now. So don't quote me on it. But it's like a traditional five-year ago strategy. 70% what works, what brings sales, what brings conversion, what has been meeting the bottom line. 20% what is tried and tested, has worked in past, say, 6 to 12 months. We can repeat that and we can further invest in that to see where it goes. 10% R&D, innovation, future forecasting. Try it out. It might work. It might not work. That's why on one year you see a Coca-Cola vanilla, the following year you don't, because those are the different percentage diagrams in which the strategic direction of the business sits. But there's only one Coca-Cola in the world, right? And a lot of businesses need gaining bigger market share, gaining bigger sales, growing so much more, so that the inverse is actually growth for small business owners and platform owners our side who are pitching for that capital.
Wow. Yo. I'm learning so much through this conversation. So many things as you were talking, I'm like, geez, I feel like I want to take notes. Wow. It's not, I think the passion is coming through quite strongly from your perspective, just in terms of brands themselves and building platforms. And I think it's so refreshing to see it. And it's also very good to become a part of something like that. So kudos to you. I really want to say well done for what you've been doing, and just continuously, I think, taking the time and effort to ensure that you obviously with the platform, you don't lose sight of where you're trying to go. It's really inspirational. Someone somewhere is going to watch this conversation. People that have been on this conversation for the last hour and a bit, I think it triggers something. When we began this conversation, we spoke about how oftentimes we have these ideas in our heads and actually don't actually implement them because they just, yeah. So speaking to you and the passion and just seeing how you've gotten your hands dirty and been willing to do everything has been really, really refreshing. And someone was asking earlier, they were saying, I must remember to ask you really about your highlights, some of the highlights. If you could maybe give me 3 highlights, 3 to 5 that you had.
Launching the platform 2017 September, like actually taking from ideation to execution, big highlight. Making the entity an actual real thing. Getting into both Cape Town and Durban after exploring the Joburg market was quite a highlight, because we had a big demand in those cities, and we were looking around ways as to how do we develop our platform to fit into those cities. And I think having a portfolio that has a couple of corporates that we can name drop when we're presenting to other corporates. Philip Morris has been amazing to us in the past year when we did some partnership with them. And I think what that takes you to, it takes you away from that you're pitching for a partnership to, hey, we've done the partnership. This is the cost of it. You can reference those particular corporates and say, this is the ROI. You build a case study out of working with the corporate. Liberty we've worked with. That was the first financial institute that we actually worked with. We have done quite a lot of work that is also on the experiential side of things, where you're able to snap out of a particular experiential engagement or a conversation, and for a little bit of time you snap out and you think to yourself that, okay, are we actually doing this thing? You know what I mean? Like, I know that we've been doing it, but wow, you know, we've been developing this platform. It's here, it's happening now, it's an actual real thing. And some of those things you can't explain, but you know, we've done. There's a lot to mention. You know, we've had an addition at the Mash Club, which is one of the most best venues in the city. But in the way that we did that, we got a different type of feedback. You know, the Cape Town edition, we did it at a time where it was the break of the festive season. And people were saying, look, Cape Town is a very sticky market. You're not going to be able to get the type of traction you're looking for. And we were saying, look, we have a conversation platform. We have a progressive conversation platform. We've stuck to that DNA. Conversation is in our root. And for the individuals who seek to have conversation in between a drink, an afternoon sunset, and connecting with others, that's what we're going to do. So we've gone and broken such barriers in a short space of time. And it gives us big confidence to say, we could go global. We could go into other parts of the continent. We were actually planning for other parts of the continent in this year, but COVID-19 happened, and that's fine. It doesn't matter. We're still looking into what the future looks like. Yeah.
Listen, I have all the faith and confidence that this is going to be a global platform in a really good way. I have no doubt in my mind. No doubts at all. Keep doing the work that you do. I think in this closing, I'm curious to know who, you know, we started the conversation with you as Zo, and you take us through the journey of, you know, your work with the Clean Social. And I just want to know, again, taking it back to Zo, have you always been this person, this creative person, this game changer, this person that just comes up with these things? Where does that come from? Has it always been you? And really the key question is, what is your philosophy or your life mantra, if you have to call it that?
Yeah. Look, I think you mentioned game changer. You mentioned a couple of other words which I'm scared of to attain. but my background, fortunately enough, I've always been part of the school of the hard knocks, and in one, the growing up township, village, suburbia, different types of schools, experiencing different family dynamics. I haven't been less privileged when it comes to being part of a form of leadership and a form of ambition and a form of success in the most smallest of manners to the biggest. You know, I grew up playing sport every other weekend. We were competitive. I loved fashion in the sense of where part of my career has taken me to. I was crazy about fashion, and I was problematic to my parents because of that.
I'm sure.
But what I realized is that I need to work to get what I want so that I cannot be problematic to my parents, because I was traveling across different cities looking for one particular sneaker, and that was my parents' problem. But in order to now make sense and make profit and make some form of leverage from that, I realized at a young stage that I actually need to work for that. Like, in order for me to not rely on anybody else besides myself. So I suppose the journey in entrepreneurship and business subconsciously began at a far earlier stage, and it was rooted in me by my grandparents and by my parents, and that developed. And I think you know, the psychology of who we are as human beings, we tend to take lightly until it actually presents itself in different manners over time. And I suppose in my passions and in my being, I was developing a particular type of individual and I was not aware of it, right? Even in tertiary, I took upon extra curricular activities. I was the first person in first year to do an internship at a communications business because I was a curious individual. And I wanted to come back in my class and tell everybody, including the lecturer, that this is what happens in communications. To be honest, that's the only thing I was seeking, right? I was seeking a form of, and I'd always been curious, and I was always wanting to know what is the next, what is developing, what are the trends, completely unaware of what I'm developing. And right now in my career, all of that is coming back, but in a far more centralized and purposeful manner. Like there's purpose behind it, there's meaning behind it, there's growth behind it. So I hope I answer your question, but yes, it has led up to that over the years in different ways. Yeah.
Wow. I think that curiosity, I mean, it takes you to so many different places. You have to be curious about the world around you, whatever it is, even if it's a very specialized part of the world, but that on its own, you know, you speak on so many things, or you spoke on research and development and all of that, but at the core, the curiosity. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
No, man. So I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for the time that you have spent with me on my platform today. I think you are going very far. The platform is going very, very far. And I'm glad that, you know, you shared a lot of nuggets with us on this conversation, you know, about building brands and all that entails, some of the challenges and successes. So I don't take it for granted at all, having to spend a bit of time in your evening. And I wish you all of the best with all your ventures.
Thank you so much. I think at my side, in closing, one, this has been a beautiful experience. I've loved every bit of it. For a change, I get to be interviewed as being the facilitator, which is what we usually do on the platform. So I've enjoyed this. Two, a lot of engagement that we have on the grooming social when we build partnerships is more behind the forefront of what we do. And I'd like to encourage people who are listening and who have been listening to this to say we are actually open to new ideas. We're open to people coming to us and saying, what is your platform about? And ask for the presentation, because the development of the presentation of the content on our platform is not necessarily in full on what our platform is about. We treat the different properties different. Our Instagram is different to our Twitter, our Facebook is different. We're developing YouTube. We have breakaway experiences. We have a full presentation which gets us in the room with corporate. So don't be afraid to say, hey, can I have you guys' presentation because I'm working on X, Y, Z, and we might be able to work together. We don't have an issue with that because at the end of the day, that's where bigger partnerships are going to be developed. And I go back to saying, having built this platform over 3 years now, the one thing that I'm sure of is that the work and the development of it is not ours. We don't own it. We didn't bring this platform to life. If it was just us, it wouldn't be where we are. So the future of it is actually so much more not about us as the founders, but it is about what more can we do to impact the society, and as we always say, groom the kind of citizens that we want in our society.
Oof, I love that. I love that. I'm actually going to find you because I'm only connected to you guys now on Instagram, so it's quite interesting for me, or enlightening, to discover that on the other platforms you're doing different things. I'm going to find you everywhere. I'm for it.
Got you. Thank you.
Cool, man. And thank you to everybody that's connected to this conversation.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I will save it also on my IGTV. And yeah, I'll also be uploading on YouTube. So let's hope it reaches many, many more people because I think it was quite lucrative and a lot of partnerships I think can come out of it.
Absolutely. And thank you so much once again. I appreciate you, your platform, and your time.
Fantastic.
And
Have a lovely.
everybody who's tuned in. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I'm gonna do as well, because I haven't, obviously I spoke about the logo right here. I haven't opened it because I'm saving it for my weekend. I will be
Right.
sharing feedback on that as well this weekend. So
I
cool.
appreciate it. Please do that. Please do that. Yeah.
Cool
Take
stuff.
care. Thank you so much.
All right.
Cheers.
Have a good one.